But football without fans is not. You play a football match without fans, you've got nothing. It can be the greatest game in the world. If there are no people there to watch, it becomes nothing.
And to Johnson. Johnson. And a goal by Johnson. Larson. Oh, he's in. Henrik Larsson. That is sensational. Nakamura. He has done it. Isn't that just typical?
The game is over. The Rebels have won. Champions, that's who we are.
Gentlemen, it's very cold outside, but a lovely warm welcome to the show on a Saturday. We've just saw Celtic decapitate Hearts 3-0 in the capital, progressing on to the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. How the devil are we? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, that was a good game of football. Early goal in the first half, goal just before the half-time. Hearts were nowhere, and a couple of moments in the second half, but that was an enjoyable win at Tynecastle that just puts to bed any nonsense of decapitations and Hearts getting unlucky and now Robbie Nielsen, you're shite. Fuck off, we're through to the semi.
And of course, that's the second victory in back-to-back games. Obviously, we played them during the week in the league. James, were you confident coming out the other side of the back-to-backs with victories?
Aye, mate, I must admit I was. I really don't rate Robbie Nielsen as a manager. Aye. And having, obviously, I know they went up there and spanked him at Tynecastle a few weeks ago, so I really didn't think there was anything to fear the day, and so it proved.
And aye, obviously today was the trip to Tynecastle. Historically, it's a place that could be a difficult ground to go to. The atmosphere, of course, is going to be putrid, torrid, whatever you want to call it, for the Hart supporters, the Diet Huns. But as we've just saw, Celtic 3, Hearts 0. Guys, obviously, quick fire start. Aaron Mooy put us up 1-0. I think it was the 2-minute mark. McGinty, you were the first to see it.
Well, yeah, you're all about 2 minutes behind. I don't think the game even kicked off for young James. It was a good goal. The ball in from Jota was inch perfect. He knew where he was pinning it. Mooy he doesn't let it run across as like a big obvious thing, but he lets it come onto his left foot, and then the shot was almost any stride, makes it look easy. But actually, to get the direction and the accuracy on it was absolutely fantastic. It was a great goal from Aaron Mooy, and all credit where it's due. We've said it a couple of times so far this calendar year, but Aaron Mooy, what a player he's turned out to be for us. He's absolutely fantastic just now.
Aye, and I'm sure I've mentioned that to you earlier in the chat. I think he's been a truly inspired signing by Ange. Something that I've kind of noticed about Mooy. Clearly, he's a midfielder who'll get forward, he'll drive into space. But at times, you see his shots and they're not so much timid, but there could be more venom in them. But I think today, even being on his wrong foot, thought it was an absolutely clinical finish. He smashed it, gave Xander Clark absolutely no chance. James, obviously, as I said, first 2 minutes, we're up 1-0 at Tynecastle. How were we feeling at that point?
That first 20 minutes was an absolute clinic phase. I think that's arguably the best we've played this season. Just absolutely the park. Everybody was at it. The first goal, I was actually shouting at Jota because I thought he'd left it too long. I seen Mooy getting into the space and I'm like, he don't know, and he kind of wait it. And then they've done it a few times today where he's absolutely rattled the ball. And like you're saying, you're not really seeing Mooy putting a lot of venom on his shots. I think Jota done a lot of the work for him, but I don't think he gave him a choice with how hard he's hit the cross at him. But no, it was a brilliant finish, and I give credit and all to the goalie for it was a minute before it with a save for Hatate, because that would have been some goal as well. But at that point, you think it could be anything, and to be fair, it probably should have been more than 3. I don't really ever think the one Hart pulls off a great save, but apart from that, it was kind of plain sailing.
I wasn't expecting such a high scoreline, to be honest, even though I'm no surprised by it. But I thought, I thought it might have been a bit tighter today. But you could see straight away the intention was there for Celtic to come right out the traps and literally go for the jugular. And it worked, even though Hearts, they had their moments, they had a go at us at times. I think they were more assisted by the referees than what they were by their own team. Obviously, before we get to the second goal, there was a few flashpoints in between that. And McGinty, I'm going to rely on you quite heavily.
Sorry, Paddy, I'm trying to do two things, and one of those things is listen to the legend that is Ange Postecoglou on his post-match interview just now. Do apologise.
All right. Thought you were telling somebody's microphone wasn't working there.
If you want to hold that, I can tell you what he says in about half an hour.
You shut your face and just go and listen. Me and Jamesy Boyle talk, and then you can go back and really Ange. Aye. So as I was about to ask McGinty before he rudely interrupted us, there was a few flashpoints between the goals. I think the first one I wanted to mention was the potential Johnson penalty. So obviously Johnson's released down the right-hand side. He bursts forward, which he did the whole game to great success. He jinks in just before the left back, and at this point they're inside the box. Johnson's brought down, as cynical as you can see. It's a clear penalty, it's clear as day. James, we were just talking about it. That was probably the worst moment in the match. As I say, it's as clear a penalty as you can get. The defender's made absolutely zero contact with the ball. He's cleaned out Johnson inside the box. Yeah, no penalty. And as McGinty was lamenting about before the game, before we kicked off, in the WhatsApp chat, is that Robbie Nielsen actually said that it didn't matter because it didn't come to anything.
No, Michael Stewart.
Yes, who did I say that?
Robbie Nielsen. I mean,
Michael Stewart.
So it's something I picked up on the commentary after it happened. I actually took my eye off the game sporadically as it goes through, as you do. You kind of multitasking, and what he said kind of tweaked my interest. So I focused back on the game again. And yeah, the challenge happens exactly as you describe it. Johnson comes down. He does get the cross in, and it's a cynical tackle that comes in, and he wipes him clean out. And Michael Stewart's retort to it was, "Oh well, it's not really a foul because he managed to get the pass off." Okay, fine, if that's where you want to play it. But Michael Stewart also turns around in the first 2 minutes of the second half. I think it was when Carter Vickers takes out the Hearts player. He says, "Oh, you can't have any complaints with that. It's a definite yellow card." Yet Kingley, who's the one who got took out, got the pass off. So what one is it, Stewart? You get the pass off, means it's not a foul, or is it a foul? Come on, consistency. The worst thing is, it's not just Michael Stewart. The referees, they're doing the same thing. They're thinking, off the ball foul, you can get away with it nowadays. Come on.
Nah, exactly what McGinty said. I picked up on him saying that as well. It doesn't matter because Johnson's got the cross in. That doesn't make any sense. But even before that, there was one. I think it was in the first couple of minutes, maybe the first 5 minutes. I'm sure it was Johnson again. He's got absolutely poleaxed. I can't remember who it was that's done him. But if that happens an hour into the game, it's a nailed on yellow card. Then there was the one at the halfway line. Is it that Kia Mortzoglu, whatever? He takes out Kyogo and then Hatate. Again, nailed on yellow card. And then the last one was Hardy. I mean, that's as nailed on a yellow card as it can be, where he takes out. In fact, was it Johnson again?
Johnson again.
I'm sure, aye. And then standard first bookings for a Celtic player. So, aye, Robbie Nielsen obviously was in the rear after the game, and I think it's fair to say it had an impact. But that's it. We beat them. We beat the referees. That's it. Easy days.
I think the first half, Hearts did, as I say, they had a few chances, and obviously the one I want to speak about the most was the Joe Hart save, an absolute wonder save for Joe Hart. The ball comes in for Hearts' left-hand side, it's across, comes back into the player in the middle who turns, and he has a decent shot at goal. Hart's down like a flash, full stretch, diving to his left, catches it, but he's also got the quickness and the awareness to get back up and actually kind of parry it round the post. But at that point, I think it was a striker followed up, and he's kind of made contact with Joe Hart. So Joe Hart was livid at that. But apart from that, it was pretty poor defending, I thought. First and foremost, poorly let the guy have space to turn around and get a shot, but an absolutely fantastic save for Joe Hart. McGinty, how did you think Joe Hart's performance was overall the day? And obviously, first and foremost, the save that he made.
The save was absolutely fantastic, top drawer. As you say, the defending of the player who gets the strike off for him to get the ball, make the turn, get the swivel on the strike, that's disappointing to see. But it's not the worst bit of defending we've ever done. Joe Hart's save, though, was absolutely world-class save. He then gets up to try and get to the second the rebound of the second shot. I think the Hearts player is completely within his right to go for that ball. If a keeper fumbles the ball, you want your attacker to close it down. At first, I thought, what the hell is Hart raging about? Because when he gets up, he's in the ref's face, he's screaming the house down, sort of thing. I couldn't see what actually happened. I thought the Hearts player was well within his rights. But credit to Craig Gordon in the halftime post-match, but halftime talk. He actually broke it down better than I could, and I hate Craig Gordon with a passion. I'll put that right out there again. But he makes a good point. Yeah, he's entitled to go for the ball, but if somebody clears the ball away and then you follow through on them anywhere else on the pitch, that's a free kick. Unless you're Alistair Johnson in the opponent's box, and then it's not a penalty because you've cleared the ball, obviously, and that doesn't, But yeah, it makes a good point. And on second view now, he was right to be a bit raging. Overall, though, Hart's performance, solid. He had a simple enough game. He wasn't overly troubled. He never done anything daft. He wasn't overly pressed into trying to make a mistake. And he just had a solid, steady, good Joe Hart game.
And I think that was kind of testament as well to the defence. Although there was maybe one or two moments, that one being included in it, where I thought Hart's got the better. Vickers and Starfelt kind of in the air, maybe one or two chances as well. But overall, in the first half, I thought they were really, really dominant. Carter Vickers, for the most part, showed his strength at all times. Starfelt as well was having a really good game alongside him, as well as Greg Taylor and Alistair Johnson. Obviously, Starfelt come off at half time, but we'll go into that after the Kyogo goal. But James, Kyogo's goal just on the 45-minute mark, I believe. Aaron Mooy gets the ball up the pitch, kind of just off the right-hand centre of the Hearts goal. He's got the ball. He delays his pass for about 2 or 3 seconds. You can see him. He's almost making a kind of a fake kind of pass ready to go. And you can see Johnson making the overlap down the right-hand side. He delays it just perfectly. Puts it forward. Alistair Johnson drives through it. Puts in a great ball across the face of the goal. And there's Kyogo jumping into the space as usual. And a back heel finish. And I'm just going to bring up Minty's comment from earlier because I think it's absolutely spot on. That goal from Kyogo reminded me of the Zola flick for Chelsea in the 90s. Absolutely beautiful. So James, obviously, 45 minutes. We've scored a goal at the start of the game, and then we've scored a goal at the end of the first period. So it was great to go in half-time 2-0 up, but obviously Kyogo again, absolutely showing his quality, his worth, his positional sense is fantastic. Defenders really, really struggle to deal with him, and obviously he pops up with a brilliant, sleek finish. How were you feeling at that point? And obviously, what did you think of the goal itself?
It's a kind of typical Kyogo goal, isn't it? Just kind of, obviously in that area, clinical finish, and probably up until that point in the game, he was having a quiet game. I mean, we've said that loads this season. He's maybe been quiet, but then he'll pop up with a goal or two, as we've seen in the cup final. But there was a few balls up to him that were maybe just overhit, and he wasn't getting on the end of him. Obviously, that's no his fault. But the goal, as I say, it's just what you come to expect from him. Just get the ball to him in that area, and he'll put it away. I think the kind of main criticism, well, certainly a criticism we had of him last year, is that he missed loads of chances. He was missing sitters, and obviously it looks as if he's corrected it this year, and he's flying. How many is that he's got for the season? Did you say there?
Is that 26?
Well, you'd expect him at least to get 30 now, wouldn't you, if no 35. But I mean, as I say, it's just good to have an absolutely clinical striker, penalty box striker. So, aye.
Well, as I was talking, I was having this conversation last night. So obviously, like you've got there's almost a benchmark for any Celtic striker playing for Celtic, obviously, and that's kind of baseline 20 goals a season. Anything other than that is obviously it's marginally better. Kyogo's now got I think it's 26. Somebody might want to correct me in the comments, but as you say, he has added in a clinical edge, even more so this season. I think because there was moments earlier on in the season, Champions League, some games, whatnot, that there was a bit of bemoaning about Kyogo, myself included, that he wasn't doing enough in games, but he was still popping up with a goal here and there. But I think now you look at his overall play, and he is getting involved more. He's dropping in deeper. He's linking up the play. He's starting play as well. He's dragging defenders out with his positional movement, and then of course his movement for goals is it's a joy to watch. And something I was thinking about as well. We've had a few conversations again to talk about topical moments now on the podcast, on the Tuesday TikToks, whatnot. And some of the conversations we spoke about was like who do you think is the best striker since Henrik Larsson? I still think Gary Hooper's the best natural goal scorer we've had since Larsson. But other than Robbie Keane, albeit in a 6-month period, second half on load for Celtic, we've not seen a forward who's had the similar types of movements to Henrik Larsson than what we're seeing now for Kyogo. He's absolutely terrifying defenders because they don't know where he is. And even when they're tracking him, because of Celtic's kind of fluid forward movements, they're always having to keep an eye out for Jota, Abada, whoever it might be. And that's then further allowing Kyogo to shift his momentum, to shift his movement, as we saw. We actually saw at the Hearts game, the last game, when he was running forward at the defenders, he started to run that way. And then at the very last second, he went that way, and that led to his goal. So clearly, we're seeing a fantastic talent. Somebody who's, as I say, he's getting the goals. He's 26 goals. There's Scott Cameron saying it, 26 goals for the season now across all competitions. James, how highly do you rate Kyogo and obviously his input into this team?
I wouldn't have him in Henrik Larsson's category just yet anyway, but I don't know, it's a good question to be fair. Who's the best striker since Larsson? As you say, Hooper would get a mention, Dembele would get a mention, and obviously Kyogo now. I think that'd be our main three. I don't think I would put Eddie up there, maybe just behind him, but I'd probably give Kyogo the nod just ahead of Gary Hooper. Just in terms, I feel as if he kind of brings me to the table in terms of the all-round play of the team. But that'd be a good forward line, the two of them, wouldn't it? The movement would be frightening. But I probably just give Kyogo the nod, but still a million miles behind Henrik.
Oh, I absolutely. I'm certainly no trying to equate him to Larsson, but like obviously when Larsson was playing, his movement created so many goals from and created so many opportunities for the team, and I don't think we've seen that kind of movement in a striker or similar levels to Larsson's kind of movement.
Aye.
But anyway, we'll maybe raise that topic again during the week or whatever. But that was only half time, so Kyogo scored 45 minutes. We're running at the break 2-0. There was changes. No, there was a change. Sorry, McGinty. Starfelt came off. I think he had a knock. One of the presenters said. So obviously Yuki Kobayashi came on in his place. But before that, Haksabanovic was the call of the day that was most surprised me. I thought Abada would have got the nod. Haksabanovic obviously got the shout for Ange to come in and play. No surprises, Jota played as well on the wing. How did you think his overall contribution was?
I like Kobayashi. Haksabanovic. Sorry. Haksabanovic. Yeah, I'm with you. I thought Abada would have got the call and the nod before Haksabanovic. As I said in the group chat, having Jota and Haksabanovic announced in the starting lineup, I was wondering who's going to play left, who's going to play right, because either of the two of them they're not that great on the right. They're not terrible. Both of them are absolutely gifted, fantastic footballers at Celtic. But neither of them are right wingers. So it was a bit unusual not to have seen Abada get the nod, because he has came from the bench and he has got plenty of goals. He's done pretty well. As for Haksabanovic performance in the first half, it wasn't woeful, but he didn't do anything to impress in the way that he has done previously, where he's came off the bench and he has done some great performances. He's able to drag defenders away. He's good with the ball at his feet and dragging players around. I like him, but when he got subbed off, I thought it was probably justified at that point. I wasn't really up in arms about it, thinking it was a bad call.
Right. I'd give him the benefit of the doubt, to be fair. I did really, really like him. And it said on the commentary that was his first start this year. So if your first start's at Tynecastle, I mean, he's used to getting the last 20 minutes coming on against tired defences. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'd actually like to see him get a wee run of games now, starting with Jota, basically with that forward line that we went with today for a few games, because I would really like to get a good look at Haksabanovic, because anytime I've seen him, for the most part, he's really impressed me. So I'd like to see him a wee bit more.
You can see he's a confidence player. He loves to take a man on. You saw obviously with his goal through the week there, an absolute belter of a finish. That's the kind of things that he can produce. He can create space. He can take men on. He's one of the kind of magician-y type wingers that can create something out of nothing. Very quiet today, I thought, but as you say, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Certainly, you would never ever write him off, because he does look a player, but he clearly needs more starts. He's been hampered by injuries, kind of niggling injuries here and there, so that's never good for a winger's momentum, especially being confidence players. But I'm sure we'll see a lot more involvement for him as the remainder of the season goes on. Anyway, into the second half, and this one you'll probably be wanting to take away, McGinty. There was a few harsh challenges in the first half that went unchallenged by the referee. Nobody get booked. 46 minutes in, Carter Vickers, first yellow card. First offence, first yellow card.
Yeah, that's it. What you've just said about what happened in the first half, what's been allowed to get away with. We've made comments already on the likes of Michael Stewart's comments, which he contradicts himself, in my opinion, when you say that Johnson doesn't deserve his penalty because he got the crossing, yet the tackle was late and it swipes him right out, so it's a foul. It's almost the same thing that happens from Carter Vickers onto Kingley. He is a little bit late. He does take him out, but Kingley gets the pass off. So by consistency of not just the commentator, but consistency of the referees, that's not a booking. Especially when you consider first foul. Carter Vickers has had a good game up to that point. Carter Vickers actually has a great game throughout the whole thing. But considering what the ref lets away with all the time, and it had done in the first half, I think it's quite baffling that the first yellow card goes to a Celtic player, and it happens to be for a challenge, not too dissimilar to one that they just refused to look at for a penalty claim for Celtic. Go figure.
And I think that is where the conversation has it's got space to come in and be spoken about, because if you look at the Vickers challenge, James, you probably could say, it does look like a yellow card challenge, but at the same time, Halliday does that in Hart's own box. Johnson's at full pelt, makes absolutely no contact with the ball and takes him out. Yet Vickers is the one that gets the yellow card straight away in the 46 minutes. So where's there's no parity there, there's no continuity, there's no...
That's it. The Carter Vickers one, it's a yellow card all day long, but as you say, when you're looking back, I can't remember the three players. Halliday and that game was all good, but I can't remember who the first one was in the first couple of minutes. There was three Hearts players that should have been booked. You could probably state a case that McGregor should have been booked as well. So that's 4 yellow cards that should have arguably been in the first half. And then it's literally pretty much the first tackle of the second half. You can't get the card out quick enough. It's just, I know we say it all the time, but it is literally just consistency. I don't get how you can't book a player in the first half and then as soon as they come out after the half-time oranges, it's all right for a yellow card. I just don't get it.
I fully agree, and just to clarify, when I was saying a moment ago, I completely agree. It is a yellow card from Carter Vickers, but where's the consistency? And it's baffling. And again, I agree with that point that you just made, James. How is it you can go through the first half and you think it's all right, but as soon as you start the second half, it's now deemed a foul. You see it all the time, and you hear it in commentators, you hear it from fans alike, and so many other games that we've been in and other clubs have been in, that sometimes you don't see a booking in the first 5-10 minutes, and it's a case of, oh, he's letting the game flow, or it's early tackles will let them slide because we need to find how the game's going to pan out. No, a foul's a foul. End of the day, you slide in with your foot high, it's a red card. You slide in and you take a guy out, your foot aren't high, but you're still light to the ball, it's a foul on the booking. If it happens in the box, it's a penalty. If it doesn't happen in the box, it's not a penalty. It's still a foul, no matter where it is on the pitch, and no matter what time of the game it is, it's still a foul. Deal with it.
Well, I'm going to put my tin hat on here a wee bit. Obviously, just because of the timing of the booking, so it's 46 minutes, literally second half's just kicked off. And there were so many moments in the first half where Kevin Clancy should have at least looked at challenges and could have produced yellow cards. I think that at half time, the referees have been in, the officials have been in the dressing room. They've maybe looked at a few challenges and said, right, I should probably have gave a yellow card for that. I'll maybe need to start producing the card at some point in case my performance gets looked at. And I think as soon as that's come out, first one to make a challenge, Carter Vickers, and unfortunately he's been the guy that's received the first booking. But Abada came on the 59th minute for Haksabanovic, who again had a wee bit of a quiet game. Abada's on, and then 2 minutes later, your man James, Kermit Zioglu, or whatever his name is, Kermit Zioglu, basically pretty much wipes out Abada on the touchline. And that was a straight book as well. So do you think that then that's a case where the referees are trying to
even it up?
Yeah, even it up. I go par for par, am I getting it?
I genuinely think it is just...
Well, obviously, of course, the first one, the tackle was a yellow card, right? There's no denying it. He's cleaned them out, but...
No, I genuinely think he's just done it because it's the second half. I know we are stating a case for all these bookings in the first half. I mean, to be fair, you could make an argument either way for probably 3 out of 4. See if you Google what a yellow card is that Andy Halliday tackle. It's through the back of him. He's no chance of getting the ball. It's just a bad tackle. It's late, whatever you want to say. It ticks all the boxes, and free kick, no yellow card because it's the first half. I dare say if he'd done the exact same foul in the second half, he'd get booked for it. It's just consistent. I mean, we're moaning about the referees. It's fucking the referee didn't make any difference in the game today, really. But it is just consistency. So you're as well pointing out when you're winning instead of sour grapes when you get bet. But it is just consistency, and it's just I mean, we're talking about it week in, week out, and then I know we'll probably come on to it. But after that third goal, they checked VR for about 40 minutes after it, and I've still not got a clue what they were looking for. And it was I think it was the only time that VR probably came out today, and still not got a clue what they were looking for. So it is just that consistency we need to get one.
Well, there was another one as well, and I'm not quite sure who it was on, but I'm positive Andy Halliday went through the back of somebody again, and I think it was on the left-hand side of the pitch at some point, if any of you can remember that.
On the side with the camera to the left.
Aye.
Yeah, it's ringing a bell, but I can't tell you much about it. Don't ask me.
It's certainly there in the memory somewhere. It was a bit of an innocuous challenge, but Halliday managed to survive until he was substituted without a yellow card. So that was a clear as day penalty, which could have been a red card, and then obviously a booking later on. But anyway, so let me just check the minutes for the third goal. So at the 80th minute, Celtic get a free kick. Ball gets whipped in. Vickers rises above everybody. Headers it in. Great goal, great team goal, fantastic positional by Vickers. And then the inevitable happens, James, as you've already mentioned. Out it comes, rears its ugly head, VAR check, which seemed to take an eternity for God knows what.
Aye. Yeah, I mean, when Carter Vickers scores that header, I think he's getting for a fucking Edinburgh to run into. There's nobody around about him, and yet we're checking VAR for, and I don't even think the commentators knew what they were looking for. And it was a while because obviously they mentioned it because I think we were both making subs actually. I think Cole came on at that point, and it just delayed it and delayed it and delayed it, and then
It was
obviously
mental.
everybody knew it was given.
When you consider what had actually happened for that goal, it wasn't like a 26 pass event leading up to a wonderful goal or scramble in the box. Was there 3 or 4 challenges there? Was there a handball? Because, there's a big pile. There's nothing. There's a free kick. The free kick gets taken in, it swings in, the ball's in the air for, 2/3 of a second? And Carter Vickers nods it in. When he jumps and he nods it in, there's nobody on him. What they're looking for? No idea. Generally no idea. We saw the replay twice while the players were celebrating, collecting the ball, and they put the ball back on the halfway line. We've seen it twice. In that time, we've seen it twice, and we've seen parts of the celebration. VAR could have checked that 3 times at least. So what are they still checking for at the centre circle? Which then delays the substitutions from happening, which is then a further delay again. Surprisingly, only 2 minutes gets added onto the game, mind you, but hey-ho. What are they checking for? It's a non-event. It's a free kick. The ball comes in, back in the net it goes. If they're checking for what the free kick was for, then you already missed that situation. VAR should have checked that long before. No idea. It seems to honestly feel like we get VAR checked all the time, and it's not to see, is a goal legit, is a goal fine, kind of like just a run of the mill. We're checking every goal. We're just kind of running our eyes on it. It seems to be that they forensically take their time to find a reason to chalk it off. Because there's nothing I can see there that warrants a scrutiny of any level. It's a free kick, for Christ's sake. It's a 2-second incident. Fuck.
I was talking to Hoggy last night on the Celtic Supporters podcast, and he says that VAR automatically checks every goal. Now, if that's the case, then that's fair enough, because that is kind of parity for everybody. But as you say, McGinty, it seems to be, and you used a great word. It seems to be that they're forensically analysing a lot of Celtic goals as compared to anybody else. Now that could possibly be the fact that Celtic are scoring considerably more goals than anybody else. But if you're looking at it from your side of the fence, it just seems to be that wee bit more a bit more of a grey area, because they're taking their time. They're looking at goals that are so incredibly part and parcel of the game. There doesn't seem to be anything untoward. There's no kind of obvious and clear infringements or fouls or anything like that. It just seems to be a normal goal, yet they're really, really taking their time. They're scrutinising it. It's taking a minute, it's taking 2 minutes, it's taking 2.5 minutes, whatever it may be. And it just seems to be that it's a lot of focus that's on Celtic's goals. James, is there anything you've kind of noticed that's really annoyed you in recent weeks? Or
Well, just what you're saying there with I know at least they do that down south anyway, with the checking every goal, so I would assume it's the same up here anyway. They've checked the first 2 goals, and it was done, game kicked off as normal, so I just don't get what the lot is. It because the third game totally kills the game stone dead. Are they looking for something there? I don't know. But I'll get back to it, and I'll keep getting back to it, because it was just a blatant lie that they told us. The Motherwell game at Fir Park, when they used the camera for the offside, and I swear they've been well using a fucking camera on my roof for how far away it was. But they came out after the game and they told us that the VAR system, whatever they call it, was semi-automatic. So they could use any angle and it would tell them. It wasn't a case that they drew the line zone, and it was there, and the lines were only for illustration purposes for the telly. They told us it was semi-automatic. So, getting back to the game on Wednesday, as obviously I missed it, but the game on Wednesday, can't explain that one, do you know what I mean? Like, it's taken about 40 minutes, and then obviously everybody can see the lines and see the pictures. To be fair, I would give the benefit of the doubt to the striker, but by the law, it looks as if he's offside, so it is literally as if we've been refereed to a different standard. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't get that point. I heard this after Wednesday as well, in one of the group chats we fell terms as well, that seemingly there is still that benefit of the doubt goes to the attacker. Now, that used to be a thing, almost felt like a gentleman's agreement that was sometimes applied and sometimes not applied years gone by. But we've got VAR now. And as James says, we were told it's semi-automatic automation stuff, so it should be able to drop the lines itself, and it should be able to figure out itself roughly where it should be. If in doubt, somebody else can come in, have a quick look at it, look at the lines, as we've all seen after Wednesday night, and go, well, his knee's in front of him. Now, unless, Starfelt has, 8-inch toes, his knee's in front of the line. I heard then that somebody mentioned that actually, if the lines are overlapping, so the blue line, I believe, was the attacker and the green line was ours. I don't know, but because I've heard so many different things, but that's the way it was. As you guys see it, blue line, green line, kind of an overlap. And apparently, if there's any overlap, the benefit goes to the attacker. I don't get that because literally the digital lines are there to show you that it's not. So the benefit doesn't need to be given. I don't get it. Plus, does that not depend on how thick you draw the lines?
I'm sure. See, just literally, that's what I was going to say. I'm sure there was a thing. I know down south anyway. So again, I would assume it's the same up here. The first year they brought VAR in? Remember, you were getting offsides, and it was legit that a toenail or an Oakster was offside and all stuff like that. I'm sure it was either last season down south, last season, or the season before. They brought in a thing, and they said that the line for the attacker was going to be slightly thicker than the line for the defender, so it would, in essence, give the striker a slight advantage. So I don't know if that's maybe what happened on Wednesday, but the point I'm making is just the length of time that it takes. If they're telling us it's semi-automated, which is what they told us after the Motherwell game with the fuck-ups with the cameras, why does it take legit 5, nearly 10 minutes to come to a decision? Surely, if that's what you've told us and you've never told us any different, then then it should just be a case of looking at a screen and saying he's offside, he's onside, whatever. There's the picture. Put it on the big screen. Go on with the game.
I think that kind of ups me a wee bit as well, right? Because as you guys have said, there was a thing, and it was like advantage to the attacker or whatever. But if you're using VAR, you're using technology, you're getting hypothetical lines, whatever it may be. Football's supposed to be a balanced game. So why is the attacker getting the benefit of the doubt or getting the benefit of the decision? It's almost the same as if you would see a tackle getting made somewhere in the pitch, say midfield, and you'd be like, right, if that was in the box, that would be a penalty. But here, it's no a foul. That still kind of puzzles me at times.
I think the benefit of the doubt to the attacker, obviously, it's never been a rule. It's just this one of the kind of unwritten rules in it. But obviously, technology takes that away. It's all this rubbish to promote attacking play and all that stuff. So,
and there's meant to be a good comment as well. Benefit of the doubt to the attacker is a lot of shite if they're calling offside by millimetres whilst using VAR. And that's exactly the point, because they are putting so much kind of scrutiny and emphasis on toenails being offside or a kneecap or this and that. So how can they then say, right, well, the attacker's getting the benefit? Because it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, and I totally understand what James is saying. I remember that happening in England a few years ago when it first came in. It was getting ridiculous to the point where they're using dotted lines that go perpendicular up to kind of show you the markers. And people I actually have no idea what line corresponds to what. It is that close, and it is like hairline, toenail situations. It was ridiculous how close it was getting. For me, if it's that really that close, call it onside. Fair enough. I understand that. I get that principle behind that. But see on Wednesday night, it was his knee. We're not talking about, it's actually the thickness of the material of his sock. It was his knee. He can legitimately poke the ball with his knee and score a goal with it. It was offside. And that's what VAR's there. VAR is literally there to get that right and call that offside. If VAR can't call that offside, if VAR can't call the penalty claim today, if VAR can't see handballs and give us consistency on handball claims, then what's the point in us paying for VAR? And I don't mean that from a club ourselves. I mean all 12 clubs. What's the point?
No, you're spot on it. And as far as I'm led to believe, I think Celtic are actually putting out the biggest outlay this season for the VAR. I think it might have been £1 million. I think they were covering the costs for a lot of clubs.
I think it's basically ratioed down, so whoever comes top pays the most and whoever comes bottom pays the less.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I say, fortunately for us, VAR didn't play a big part in our game today because we scored 3 goals, we beat them comfortably, we put in a very, very professional performance, very positive. But there was one other flashpoint that was caught off camera. Sometime in the second half towards the end, Joe Hart run into his goal line, into his goals, and he picked up an item and he made a beeline for the referee. Now, there was a wee bit of confusion there at the time, but a few minutes later, the presenters actually made light of it, and the camera showed you another wee angle, and it was the same, pretty much the same thing. Joe Hart runs into his box, he picks up something. I thought it looked like a water bottle at first, but you can see him running right towards the referee. Can't really see much after that, but Gary Melrose, I can't see the comment now, Gary, my apologies, but he stated it's been reported that it appears to be a dart that he picked up and took to the referee. Now, first and foremost, regardless of what team you support, whoever you are, Celtic, the Rotten Mob, Hearts, whatever, see anybody that flings anything on the pitch, you're a piece of shite, right? Because there's no need for it. It's absolutely fucking, it's intolerable, it's uncalled for. It just disrupts everything, right? But if that is a dart and some troglodyte has went to the game, right, and somebody's actually put it fucking perfectly, I'll try and find it. Can't find it. Somebody's like, right, get ready for the game, get your keys, get your wallet, and get your dart. Now, somebody's took that dart to that game with the intention of flinging it at somebody, potentially causing serious harm. That is out of order. Totally out of order. There it says, Kieran, keys, flags, wallet, dart, time for the match.
See, to be honest with you, though, I would give benefit of the doubt for that because there's pricks everywhere at Tynecastle. Nah, it's just nah, it's fucking. I see. To be fair, that the only time I'd seen it about the dart was in the comments there. As you say, that's a joke. It's bad enough see if it's a fucking cup of juice or whatever getting thrown on, but as you say, somebody's went out their way to stick a dart in their pocket to take to the game, and it's you see it all the time at Hampden, and obviously we've seen it at Ibrox with Joe Hart with the broken glass and the goalmouth and stuff like that. I mean, see going to Hampden, fuck knows how everybody gets stuff in like that, because I've seen stuff with obviously the flares, the fireworks, and then there was stuff getting lobbed on as well. I can't get in with a fucking Capri Sun or a Captain Ribena for the way or something like that. People was getting in with fucking fireworks and stuff. It's mad. I don't understand it at all. But as
you can't buy fireworks in the stadium though, so they don't mind. But you can buy Ribena, so they need your money. It is baffling. As you see though, Paddy, you throw anything other than your scarf and disgust at the end of a bad performance or something. You throw anything onto the pitch, you're an imbecile. But to throw a dart, that's a weapon. You're the same with a glass bottle. How are you getting a glass bottle into a football stadium? I go into a football stadium anytime I'm doing that, I'm getting practically hand patted down. And I don't look dodgy as hell or anything. So how are people getting in with glass bottles? Surely, yeah, thanks. Surely people are able to find a glass bottle. Fair enough, you can't find a dart. It's in somebody's pocket. You might think it's just a pen when you pat them down or something, or it's in the bottom of the bag and it gets forgotten about. Maybe it's completely innocent that it happened to be there, but you still threw it and you're an absolute idiot. Same with Lee Griffiths had the big thick battery, like the obscenely thick battery that got lobbed at him. Who the hell's carrying that around with them? You're taking that to a football game. You're planning something. Come on.
Well, I don't think you can expect stewards or whoever it is that's kind of doing the security and that to be checking everybody. It's easy to smuggle anything into the game. You can get bottles of wine and you can get beers and you can get whatever. And it's only so many people that get checked. Obviously, females, I believe, get all their bags checked. Anybody that comes in with a bag gets the bag checked. But, you know, you can fucking stick it down your sock. You can stick it in your belt, up your arse if you're fucking that way inclined. You'll get something in. But I think the whole point is that people should be expected to behave at the games, right? And I'm not saying that everybody's saints, right? I'm certainly not a saint. But there's a difference between maybe somebody being that frustrated or being that pissed that they flung a bottle, which bad enough in itself, but somebody's took a dart to the game, right? You're not going there to fucking have a wee friendly fucking game or fucking 501 in the toilets. You're there to fling a dart at somebody, and it's one of the players. So if that dart hits Joe Hart, excuse the pun, it's first and foremost a bullseye. But it's shocking, and that's the type of behaviour that you don't want to see anywhere. It's fucking utter scum that do that shit. But it's not the first time that I've had that at Tynecastle. It's not the first time that our players have had that, but I think it's something that really needs to be brought to attention, not just kind of having a wee comment here and there, something that really needs to be looked at. I think, look at, was it last season? The Celtic physio or the Celtic medical, one of the guys actually got hit with a bolt as well. You know what I mean? So our players have been physically assaulted by items thrown. There was Jim Goodwin as well. He went to Pataudry, I think, with Dundee United, or Aberdeen were playing at Tannadice, whatever. But he was getting scalped with pies and bottles and coins. Come on, fuck. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
Aye, it's ridiculous. It just shouldn't happen. I don't care how much you fucking hate somebody or whatever. Just don't do that, do you?
You do wonder. You generally do wonder. But yeah.
Well, if the reports are true, he'll be smuggling something out of Spain.
He did darts and the fucking board.
Anyway, we all know this.
But back to football.
I'm pretty sure everybody's got the same kind of tolerance of that kind of behaviour, but we'll try and stick to the good stuff today. So it was a very, very competent performance by Celtic. It was a pressured game. We turned up. We were professional. We played exactly the way Ange wanted to play. See, before the game, guys, I actually watched the We Never Stop documentary for last season. Absolutely brilliant. Fucking superb. Every single bit of insight that you need to Ange. Callum McGregor's a captain, the players in the dressing room. But one of the things that stood out to me was the amount of emphasis and the amount of analysis that Ange puts on players creating space and moving into space and exploiting space. And now the day I saw that in its entirety by Celtic and the Celtic players, every single bit of space they squeezed, every single bit of space they were in, the movement was proper fluid. We just we really stamped with authority, I thought, today on the game, and the movement by the players, the passing, the pressing, it was all there. It was a really, really good game to watch if you're a Celtic supporter. Man of the match, who do you think was the best?
Oh, it's a tough one today. I don't know, actually.
Mooy?
Nah, fuck that. No, I genuinely don't think it would have been Mooy. I don't actually know who I'd get to.
James still struggles to even accept that Moy's playing good games just now. I think Jota has had a hard time in recent weeks, but I think today he actually had a really good game. It's not his best performances. I don't think I'd give him man of the match, but I think some of his play, his trickery, his determination in the second half, was it, when he closed down the right back, he used his strength to take the ball off him, dropped the shoulder, turned him and got into the box. His shot was woeful. I think he got a wee bit too excited and too encouraged by himself. But I think Jota, comparatively to what he's been kind of, not abused, but he's been kind of a bit of a hard time lately. I think he had a really good game today. Man of the match, it's hard. It's hard. Carter Vickers had a solid game as well. You could argue Carter Vickers, I think.
I think it generally could be 10 out of 11 at least. But I would go Jota, considering he was kind of technically playing out of position as well for the most part. I'd give to him.
I think Jota is really he's upped his confidence level in the last month or two. You can see that he's got the bravado back, he's got the swagger back, he's taking players on, he's actually enjoying moving the ball about. I would give it to Johnson today. I thought Johnson was brilliant. I thought his movement was there. He was tough as nails. He obviously created a goal for Kyogo. You can just see that this guy adds an extra dimension into the team. And I wasn't too sure about him at first, especially after seeing him in the World Cup, because I missed the first game where apparently he was brilliant. All the games that I saw were rotten. His positional sense, his defending, it wasn't there. But he's really, really grew on me, like Michael Beale's Mooy. He's there. I can't fucking no see him every single game. The guy's just oozing quality. He's oozing desire, determination. As I say, I love to see a fullback, a defender who's tough in the tackle, somebody that can stand up to the pressures and demands of Scottish football, but he's also getting us up the park as well and then getting involved in assists. He's almost involved in a goal the other week there, even though it was given as an own goal. But the guy's putting on some really, really good performances for me. Carter Vickers, McGinn, as you say, was just he's a standard 8 every game anyway. You know what I mean? It probably a 9 today. Kyogo again, popping up with a brilliant goal, linking up the play. But for me, I'm going for Johnson.
I just make 2 points as well. Just as you mentioned Kyogo there, he's one of the points I was just thinking about. How often has Kyogo scored a couple of cracking goals, even a couple of goals per game? And yet I don't think many of us really want to give him man of the match. He doesn't come straight to you. When we see man of the matches, we're always thinking Hattati, McGregor, Jota, or Abada sometimes gets a wee nod and mention. Carter Vickers is always a standout. We go straight to these guys all the time because we see what they're doing so often. But I think it's testament to Kyogo that he's still banging so many goals that we all know how great he is, but somehow we never mention him in the man of the match kind of discussions. And I say testament to him. I think it is that way because he just goes about his job, his business at that end of the pitch, and he gets on with it. He almost goes unseen. I'm going to mention 2 names. I am not comparing Kyogo to these 2 players. I'm not saying he's on the same level. Absolutely nothing like that. But take Messi and take Larsson, 2 players that as Celtic fans we are very well known about. But a lot of their game time is just doing things over here, up front, while the game's happening over here, and just quietly getting around, finding your space, picking out your moment and waiting for your moment, and then just when it happens, when that ball's getting turned to you, dropping the shoulder and making that burst and run. He is phenomenal at doing it for us at our level. And all his work that he does, I think, goes unnoticed sometimes, that we don't instantly think, oh, man of the match performance. Because he does get his goals and we're like, oh yeah, well done, Kyogo, great goal that you took. But we don't remember all the little nuances that he's doing. And that's why, going back to your conversation earlier, Paddy, best striker since Larsson, stylistic-wise, yes, Kyogo. But actual reliabilities of goals and all rest of it, yeah, you could make an argument for a few players. Obviously, the big names of Bellamy, Keane, McDonald gets a shout, Hooper gets a shout. Then you've got your Dembele and Edouard lately. We've had some quality strikers. But I think he's up there as an absolutely phenomenal player for us. But yeah, the other player I want to mention, I see that obviously we're near the end of the podcast at this point, and it was mentioned, I think, by Woodsy in the comment, Kobayashi coming on at halftime. What a game he had. He's an absolute quality player. He's not doing anything marvellous and fantastic. He's not getting great goals and, muscling people off the ball with fantastic tackles, a la Simunovic or Kenny Miller. He's not making any of these obscenely obvious things that he's doing. But he reads a game so bloody well. He's so calm. He's a stature of a guy. The balls are getting played in behind him. The Hearts players are running it down. And it's like one-on-one. You think, oh, Christ, don't lunge in. I'm so used to a defender just lunging in. He just walks it out the park sort of thing. He just calm as a cucumber, as Gavin would call it. He just as calm as a Hindu cow. I think it was Gavin's line one day. He's just absolutely fantastic. I think he's going to grow on to be a phenomenal defender for us in the next 2 years.
See, the thing when you look at Kobayashi, clearly we've not seen a lot of him, but the times that we have saw him, he looks to be very comfortable on the ball, kind of a technical defender. But I think the pleasing thing to see him coming on the day was that, anybody that comes on against Hearts at Tynecastle, they're going to be up against a bit of a physical element. And for me, he handled everything very, very well. He wasn't flustered. He wasn't caught in the headlights like a rabbit. He was stuck in. He did what he had to do. His positional sense was fantastic. Looked very assured.
I see as well, just kind of on that kind of broader subject. See if you look through the full team, I think you could make a case. Maybe you could argue left back, but see if we got an injury, there isn't a real Kyogo to as well, I suppose. But like O can do a job, but there isn't anybody that would come off the bench. You would think, oh, we maybe need to keep an eye on him. Do you know what I mean? Maybe with the exception of left back with Burnaby. I know everybody's no sold in Burnaby yet, but the recruitment has been absolutely frightening when you look through the squad. I mean, when you look at the team on Wednesday compared to the day, and obviously the scores and the players that were missing and things like that, it's absolutely frightening how good a place we're in there now.
And that actually leads... So on, in you go.
Sorry, just going to make a quick point. I don't want to get into it just now because of the time that we're at, and I think it's a great conversation to have at some point, maybe near the end of this season. Let's run down the 2 seasons worth of transfers that Ange has made, and I bet you if he's made 20 signings, only 2 of them are probably deemed useless, and I bet you could make good arguments that he probably wasn't the one who signed them as well. His signing policy and his hit rate of success is absolutely fantastic. I would 100% trust whoever Ange signs next. Trust it.
Right. Well, at this point, you would assume that the 2 boys for Sheffield Wednesday were already signed. McCarthy and Scales probably Desmond signing. So out of the ones that he's probably signed, you'd only be looking at Ideguchi really, and you could make a case that that's mere bad luck through injuries and not getting game time because of it.
Exactly.
That sounds like a conversation for Tuesday.
A Tuesday night, definitely.
Right, the last thing I wanted to kind of discuss before we finished up then was, for me, Celtic are steamrolling this league. I know the gap isn't severely massive, but it's still a big enough gap between first and second. But if you look at our overall play, we are phenomenal. We are fantastic. If we're no scoring 5 or 6, we're still plodding on to the end. We're getting stuck in. We're no geeing up. We still manage to get the wins. We're getting the points, getting everything. The style of play that Celtic are performing in is some of the best football that I've seen in a Celtic team. But the question I wanted to ask was, how much better can we actually get as a team, as a club?
Again, I think that is a bigger topic for a bigger day, but to answer it, so much bigger. And I think until Ange has answered that himself, Ange will stay here at Celtic and keep pushing. Because we can do this every other season, if not every season, we can dominate Scottish football. We have done for the last 20 odd years. And we will continue to do it in our strength and the capabilities that we have. But it's going up that next level. And that's what Ange is going to take us to, I think. If Ange gets backed, we'll see this entire club can go up a level. The squad can come up. The players who are in the squad can go up a level as well, I believe. And yeah, it can get better than this.
I think the barometer for that at the end of the day, and I mean, obviously we've seen it to an extent with Rodgers as well. The barometer for that will be, exactly, that's what I was going to say. The barometer for that will be Europe and what we do in the Champions League, maybe a wee Europa League run as well. That at the end of the day, that years down the line, that will be what we look at as we do the new way with Rodgers to an extent as well. Everybody acknowledges the success domestically, but everybody will say his failings was in Europe in the Champions League.
Right, well, I think we'll call that a day there, and we'll look forward to delving into that conversation a bit deeper at some point. But another brilliant weekend as a Celtic supporter. That's us progressed on to the Scottish Cup semi-final. Still in the hunt for a treble. The League Cup's in the bag. The league's almost there, and 2 games to go till the Scottish Cup's in our hands as well. So things are looking rosy in the garden for Celtic. As always, give a wee like, a subscribe on the YouTube channel, jump onto our Twitter at Jungle Gyms Pod, give a wee share, a wee plug, all that nonsense. Loads of free content, doesn't cost you a penny. You can listen to us talk shite all the time. All right,
no, they should time theirs not to clash with my podcast. Come to the Jungle Gyms, we're better than them, whoever they are.
As always, you've got the choice to go and watch whoever you want. So if you watch us, thanks very much. But listen, we'll be back on Tuesday with a weekly Tuesday TikTok. Talk about all things Celtic, a few topical discussions as well. And we will look forward to the game next week against Hibs. We'll look at who we're going to be facing in the semi-final of the Scottish Cup as well. So, all the best with that, Alan. Hope you don't say anything unregulated. To everybody that's joined in the day, joined in with the comments, just joined in watching. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And hail him.
Hail, lads.